I'm joined remotely via Zoom by Rose Oser, Associate Director, and Shafer Mazow, the Managing Director of ZSpace. Thanks for being here, Rose and Shafer. And so, Rose, I want to turn to you first and just have you provide a overview of, what is ZSpace and how does ZSpace work with artists and art organizations here in San Francisco?
Great. ZSpace is a nonprofit organization based in the Mission District of San Francisco. Our mission is to empower artistic risk in the service of creating new work. And by new work, we mean theater, we mean dance, we mean opera, music, multidisciplinary work, everything. And we have an interesting model that's a hybrid of self-produced work and also presenting other work from other organizations. So over the course of a year, we generally see 50 arts organizations or independent producers produce work in our space. And we have work year-round in ZSpace, which is our 244-seat theater, and Z Below, which seats 80. And we operate out of a former can factory, so it's a big warehouse space with very unique architecture, which allows artists to explore new work in other creative ways as well. We have a technical residency program where artists get professional resources and technical equipment to really focus on their artistic process. So we are process-oriented rather than product-oriented. We're all about what the artist needs and where they are in their development process to create exciting new work.
Thank you. That was great, Rose. And so, Shafer, I'm going to turn to you and ask if you could please share with the audience how the COVID-19 epidemic has really impacted the production and work of ZSpace and how it operates. And clearly, we're still not to a place where we're going to allow people to come back into theater. So how's it impacted you guys, and what are you doing to address it?
Yeah, certainly. So our business is bringing large groups of people together in a space to share live work. So the current mandates and risks of the pandemic have shut down all of our business. So our venues are closed at the moment and have been closed since March 12th, when I think the official shelter in place was announced. So we are unable to conduct our normal business. We're unable to bring in artists to develop work in our space. We're essentially waiting for guidance of what sort of gatherings will be allowed and how and when we can safely open our space again. Early in the pandemic, prior to the shelter in place, we were very conscious of the coming crisis and people's comfort levels and health risks and needs. So we did, even before the shelter in place, end up canceling performances of shows and having to close the venue to some of our rental clients early on. So we, as Rose said, we produce our own work, but a great deal of what our business is presenting the work of others. So we have a curated rental program. So all of the shows and slots we had booked between March and, now we're imagining through the end of the summer that people had rented our space for their own productions. Those productions have had to be canceled or postponed. We are holding spots in future dates for those rental clients and producers. But with the uncertainty, nobody knows when we'll be able to resume our core business again.
And Rose, you guys have been around for several decades. What would you say what's been the largest impact of ZSpace on our community, both I think in a theatrical cultural arts, but as well as in economic and psychological?
I think ZSpace is known really for having a focus on the artist and the development process. And because of that, we're able to experiment with work that's at various stages of development. So artists can come into our space and choose what they need to explore. And that also means audiences have an opportunity to better understand the life cycle of a new work and what it takes to polish a show, so to speak. I think we also, our model of curating new work also means that we're different from other theater companies because we're not just operating under one artistic vision. And I think that's actually really important in a broader sense of what it means to distribute power and who gets to make art. That a lot of theaters have one artistic director that's deciding the 7 shows that happen that year. but we're really collaborating with a lot of other artistic directors of other dance companies and opera companies, and figuring out what they're working on and making we don't call it a season, but making a list of shows, a curated year of shows that includes many artistic visions and voices. So I think that's really essential.
And Shafer, what are some of the needs that the Z-Space team is seeing out there with regards to artists and organizations? And then more importantly, how can people in our community get involved in supporting your efforts?
Well, I think as every organization that is shuttered at the moment, our financial situation is precarious. So we are grateful to have received one of the Paycheck Protection Program loans that is keeping us able to employ our staff and provide some funding for like our on-call staff. So that's front of house and house techs and teaching artists. But after the end of the Paycheck Protection Program period, we'll have some real financial decisions to make. I think the one thing we are all focused on is the broader artistic community that Z-Space supports and that calls Z-Space home. So we have a full-time staff and we have some on-call staff, but the artists that produce work, perform work, present work, produce work, they don't have secure funding. So we've been trying to promote the Performing Artists Workers Fund, which is a program of Theater Bay Area, of which I'm a board member, who's giving direct grants to performing arts workers right now who have, they rely on part-time on-call work. And in this moment in time where there's just no work to be had, we are really thinking about those artists who don't have the support structure that we can as full-time staff, and the remaining connected with our community, and that artists are feeling supported both in terms financially, but in terms of being, collectively thought of and considered part of the family and how to be taken care of. So I would say as much as we need support for Z-Space financially, we need support for independent artists and arts workers as well in this time of crisis.
And so where would an audience member go? Would they go to your website? Is there a special campaign you have going for the COVID-19? Or is there, how would they support an artist and also Z-Space?
So you can support Z-Space by going to www.zspace.org and hit the donate button. We do not have a specific COVID-19 campaign at the moment. We're really trying to look holistically about what Z-Space needs, what resources we have, and where we can share with that community. Now, the Performing Artists Workers Fund is run through Theater Bay Area. So you can go to their website, which is www.tba.org, and directly donate to support an artist in need right now. And I think also, while we don't have a specific campaign going, we are regularly communicating with our audiences just to stay in touch, to keep our artistic lives and communities going. So you can sign up for our mailing list also at www.zspace.org and stay in touch with us as we try to keep the artistic community of Z-Space going and the broader community of the Bay Area's artistic ecology going as well.
Thank you. That was great. And then, we're going to make sure that the audience has all your contact information as well. And I think the final question would be, and I'm going to direct this to you, Rose, what would you hope to see as positive things coming out of the pandemic?
Yeah, really, since Z-Space's inception in 1993, Z-Space has been all about sharing resources. I think Word for Word is a great example of that, the way we have a resident company with its own artistic directors, but under our roof. And over the course of Z-Space history, we've experimented with other models of sharing space with other companies, not just on the stage, but also our office desks. And I think for any arts organization to survive this pandemic, we're going to need to get rid of our egos and think more and more about how to share space and share resources. I don't think every venue is going to survive this. I don't think our staffs will necessarily be the same size. So I think this is a moment or an opportunity to really think about how we can collaborate in a much broader sense and how the arts community can come together. I think a lot of theaters are branded based on one vision or one aesthetic, and I think we need to let go of that to some extent so that we can really survive as an artistic community and uplift each other during this time.
Thank you, Rose and Shafer, for sharing all of your wonderful work at Z-Space. And please stay safe and healthy out there as we work our way through some crazy times. And I look forward to seeing live theater at Z-Space. Been a long time supporter and love what you guys do. So thank you so much.
Thanks, George.
Thank you, George.